Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to part 27 of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Last time we broke down Lotta's argument and pretty much proved that she was only there to see Gourdy, which, by the way, that mystery is going to be solved at least by part 28. So on that note, we are going to go and visit Maya, who has been thrown in jail. This time for something she actually did, which is contempt of court. But if it wasn't for her, this case would have been over with a long time ago. Because Von Karma literally had the courtroom in his hands. And not to mention, Lotta literally lied under oath for Von Karma's behalf. Which, if I'm not mistaken, is illegal for a prosecutor or at least an attorney to coerce a witness to lie. That is a serious offense, in case anybody's wondering. But, with all said and done, we're going to have to at least move. Well, actually, we're going to have to talk to Maya first. And then we'll have to move back over to the woods. But Detective Gumshoe is practically going to let Maya go so long as the bail money is actually paid. So we'll actually have to find the bill and, well, more along the lines of find Gumshoe and get the bill so that we will be able to pay for that. Well, that's what one would think, but that's not going to be the case. So Maya once again is in jail, and that's pretty much 2 times in a row that she was in jail in this game alone. Good lord, Maya going to jail or being framed for murder is going to be an ongoing thing in Phoenix, right? So on that note, I can say that this will be the one case that is the best out of the whole entirety of Ace Attorney, and that is, well, aside from the first turnabout. And the reason why this case is the best is because of the fact that there's not as much hand-holding from Mia as there is in case 2 and 3. The same can be said for Rise from the Ashes, but that is its own type of bad. So whatever the case is, we're going to have to make our way back to the woods where we will eventually meet Gumshoe. Although we will have to come back here to the, we will have to come back here to not only the beach, but also to the woods as well. We'll at least come here on official business as part of the investigation. So, at that point, we might as well just say that Gumshoe was trying to do the best he can so that Edgeworth would not be stuck with a murder that he obviously did not commit. But there's something else that needs to be mentioned. Von Karma in the last trial actually did mention something about there being 2 witnesses. The problem, we have not found that second witness. And unfortunately, Gumshoe is not going to do anything further than to elaborate that there was only 2 witnesses. That person's identity is confidential, and Von Karma wants to make sure that is a thing. Oh, and for the record, if it probably have not dawned on you already, Von Karma loves to cheat and manipulate the law to his own will. That's what makes him such a frightening villain, and to be honest with you, he is practically in control for every trial you're in. Granted, you do find some miracle or loophole. Phoenix has to do less bullshitting to try to beat him than actual hunches and more bullshit with the other cases that he's done and the cases soon after. So on that one, it is also revealed that DL6 pretty much was the case where Edgeworth's father was the victim and he was shot before his very eyes. Even worse, the DL6 incident also made Edgeworth scared of earthquakes and him a prosecutor. So that right there in and of itself should speak volumes as to how terrible this case really could be. And seeing as how Edgeworth's whole entire past has a lot to do with DL6, that's why this is a lot more interesting than at least Turnabout Sisters. But then again, Turnabout Sisters actually has something to do with DL6 as well, because Misty Faye was practically in on the investigation, and her psychic ability is what caused the whole controversy. Because there was somebody that was supposed to be pinned for the murder, according to her channeling Gregory Edgeworth, but that person was acquitted, and the lawyer who acquitted him is now the victim of this case. But at the same vein, Misty Faye was disgraced, and bad shit happened in Justice for All. And more importantly, even worse shit happened in Trials and Tribulations that involves the Faye clan. That's going to be an ongoing thing, and all of this is caused by DL6. So we came back to the detention center, and now Maya's going to be with us for the rest of the game. There will be no outbursts in the next trial, but still, she was questioned like some criminal. But for the most part, Edgeworth was the one that actually bailed out Maya as a way to thank her for actually stopping the trial the way she did and allowing Phoenix a chance to give Edgeworth an extra day of freedom so that he will be able to find any clues to actually turn this case around. So we're going to have to go back to Gourd Lake. And much to our utter dismay, we're going to end up running into Lotta. Now I know there's going to be some people saying that I'm such a negative person towards Lotta, but here's the thing. Lotta is infamous for two things. One, lying under oath, and two, being a complete and utter idiot. Also, there's a third thing I forgot to mention. She's at the wrong place at the wrong time. All the time. And it also turns out that she actually does know stuff. She's just too dumb to remember. Like how she remembered that she was actually the witness for the trial at the beginning of this case. But she got so excited and caught in the moment that she just started blabbering out anything, and at the end of the day, it turned out that she's only here for Gourdy, and she could not have seen who it was that was out at shore, nor could she not have seen who it was that shot Robert Hammond. So now we're gonna have to talk to Lotta, because this right here will make or break the case. Yes, speaking to this idiot actually will help. And it'll also progress the story too. Yeah. Due to her selective memory, we almost lost this case, and she honestly does not realize that Japan's, or should I say, San Francisco, I might as well call it that because localization, but the law system basically has a degree of what type of penalty for murder it is. Either life in prison, 10 years in jail, well 10 years in jail minimum, but life in prison maximum, and in some states the death penalty. Since this game is fashioned in Los Angeles for translation's sake, California is well versed in the death penalty, so there is a good chance that Edgeworth was about to die courtesy of this dumb bitch here, and she just don't realize. And she almost got Edgeworth in jail behind Gourdy. Oh boy. So it's time for us to talk to Lotta about making it up for almost putting Edgeworth in jail for life and possibly for death. And it turned out, yes, Von Karma made Lotta withheld information. Information that could have not only destroyed Von Karma, but also could have discredited, well, to a certain degree, Von Karma's witness, or at least Von Karma's testimony. Unfortunately, we have to agree to the deal, because if we don't, we're not going to be able to proceed. But the deal is, we're going to have to help Lotta actually find... Oh god, did she just say that she's not as sophisticated as most Southerners? Ugh, I got a headache. I'll be right back. I'm back. I couldn't deal with such stupidity, so we're gonna have no choice but to deal with her. We have to go and find Gourdy in order for us to continue the investigation. And then more importantly, give every single bit of information. Wow, she just went there and pretty much talked about Phoenix's financial status. That's fucked up. But still, we have to give information about Gourdy, just so she can give information that Von Karma was hiding. Which, let me be honest with you, while that does sound like a gesture of goodwill, this is Lotta we're speaking. If she really, honest to God, wanted to do the right thing, she could have done so on day one, and not almost cost Edgeworth his life. So on that note, we have to go and head straight over to Lake Gourdy, actually. The Lake Gourdy Beach. No, Gourdy Lake. God damn it. Gourd Lake Beach. That's what it is. So, on that note, we'll go there, and that wasn't there before. The flags, the inflatable balloon, none of that was there. Which means one thing. Larry's girlfriend, Kiance. So on that note, Larry, once again, is trying to get the samurai dogs to be sold to everybody on the beach. More importantly, he's doing that in the middle of winter, no less. But the Steel Samurai is still popular despite the fact of, well, everything that happened. So, with that said, we could talk to him about Edgeworth. Which, for the record, Larry is pretty much worried about Edgeworth, despite the fact of him also being on the receiving end of being, well, almost tried for murder. It's funny how all three had ended up being put on trial for murder, with Phoenix being... No, actually, all three were also framed for murder, too. Because there's a good chance that Edgeworth didn't do it, but we all knew Larry didn't do it, and we knew that Phoenix didn't do it. In Phoenix's situation, it was just absolute bullcrap. That's what that happened. So on that note, after the whole incident with DL6, it turned out Edgeworth transferred to a different school, which in turn caused him to be separated from not just Larry, but also Phoenix as well. Because all three used to go to the same elementary school. And that in and of itself would explain exactly how Edgeworth would eventually become the ruthless persecutor that he is, because Von Karma took him out of his school and put him in a boarding school in Germany. Meanwhile, Larry has that Steel Samurai, oh, wait a minute. Why is he sweating? Oh, he must have done something stupid. So, in other words, the Steel Samurai balloon was blown up by a compressor with a broken tank. Oh, crap. So on that note, we will have to go over to the police department. Once we do, we're going to talk to Gumshoe. Now, Gumshoe basically has this one... Okay, I'm trying to get the thoughts straight here. Sorry about that, folks. Gumshoe actually has 3 different things for you, and that is basically those tools for the police officers. And those tools are actually going to be part of an achievement in the HD version. But at the same vein, one of those tools is going to break the case of this gate while open. And God, I can't believe I said that and bit my tongue. Why have I been biting my tongue as of late? I don't know, but it always tends to happen like that. So on that note, Edgeworth never talked about his past in court, and unfortunately, as we get deeper into DL6, we'll find out more about Edgeworth's past. So we'll have to explain to Gumshoe that we're practically gonna have to help Lotta look for Gourdy in order for us to get the case going, because she has information that we need and Gumshoe needed. Unfortunately, Gumshoe didn't understand because Maya didn't actually explain the whole detail. Unfortunately, Maya opened her mouth first before anybody could get the thought across. But, like I said, Gumshoe is a good person, despite the fact that you mistaking your name for Larry Butts and throwing Maya in jail, which is gonna be something that's not gonna stop happening anytime soon. And more importantly, we now have access to the secret weapons. So, these secret weapons range as follows: Missile the dog, a fishing pole, and a metal detector. That last one actually is going to be useful, and that's the only way we can continue. The first 2 is primarily for the achievement, and you need to use all 3 in a specific order. And that is the dog missile, the fishing pole, and also the metal detector, in that order. I do believe the 3DS also have that achievement as well. I'm trying to remember if it did, but I know the HD and Android version definitely have this mission. No, this achievement, so by all means, if you want to try to get an achievement, that's one of the ways to do it. And also they have relatively funny scenes attached to it. Especially if you use the dog. Oh, I have a reason to actually say that this is a funny scene for the dogs. Oh, sorry, I messed that one up, but still. The fact that, that scene with the dog is going to be absolutely hysterical, and so is the fishing pole. The metal detector is definitely going to be needed because not only is it going to continue on with the story, but it's going to be definitely playing a major role in the later trial. So on that note, we'll borrow Missile first. However, the game registers whichever one you borrow. In the HD version, for the console version, you don't have to borrow things in order. If you borrow the metal detector, you could just bring it back and borrow Missile, and then you borrow the fishing pole, which I have actually done, and then you'll end up getting the achievement anyway, which that actually happens in this part. Although you don't see the notification because I turned off the notifications because they were kind of glaring. But whatever the case, Missile is unleashed. Well, Missile is actually here, and unfortunately, Missile is going to be unleashed on Larry's samurai dog stand. And this is why it's so fucking funny. Because the dog just all of a sudden hates Larry and just started eating it practically ate all of Larry's samurai dogs. In other words, he kind of had that coming, especially since when we discover who Gourdy really is, you're gonna really hate Larry. Oh, also at the end of the case, too. So on that note, let's go on ahead and leave and go straight to the Criminal Affairs Department, since we gave Missile some food at least. Excuse me one second. Something was in my throat. But whatever the case, whenever you borrow something, you gotta give it back if you're gonna switch out. So on that note, we're going to be borrowing the fishing pole, because that also will lead to a funny scene. So, let's just leave, and we'll go over to Gourd Lake. And as a matter of fact, what just happened was, I think the cutscene actually happened regardless. Because I have already borrowed the fishing rod before. I didn't borrow Missile, that's the thing. But I borrowed Missile and I got the achievement. So let's go to the Gourd Lake Woods and use the fishing pole. Which, by the way, the fishing pole is actually going to be right next to Lotta's camera slash mic recording. No, pop mic, that's what it is. God damn it, why did I say mic recording? I'm using a mic recording, but still. She's going to talk about you. She's going to ask, you're going to ask what she's, okay. You're asking what to use for bait, and Phoenix is like, we need bait in order to fish for stuff. So, Phoenix was trying to make a joke about, yeah, Phoenix was trying to joke. Okay, Phoenix was trying to make a joke about using missile as bait, but unfortunately that fell on deaf ears. And unfortunately, Maya yelling had once again caused the film to end up going completely out of the camera, meaning Lotta is out of film again. So on that note, we're going to have to leave Gourd Lake, and this time we are going to be going back to the criminal affairs, and we're going to continue the actual storyline, and we're going to get the metal detector. So on that note, let's borrow the metal detector and be on our merry way. So we're going to give him back the fishing rod. But again, having a metal detector in a case where you're trying to find a murder weapon, or at least trying to find clues, is definitely a good thing. So on that note, we're going to move straight to the beach, and we're going to go to, I think, the boat rental shop. Yes, that's where we're going to use the metal detector. So on that note, we'll find out exactly what metal objects just so happen to be lying around. But the boat rental shop is closed. On that note, we'll probably find something, and all we need to do is probably send Maya over there to it. We don't need to examine or whatnot. Although, we will find out that this air compressor tank is going to be, well, a part of a deeper story that's getting closer and closer to being solved. I wouldn't call it deep, more like something about stupidity. And remember when I said that he was using a compressor with a broken tank? That's the tank! And there's a string of flags. Which means one thing. It belongs to Larry. So we're going to have to move over to Gourd Lake and talk to Larry. Yeah, we're almost nearing the end of the part here, so I'll try to at least get as much as I can done. But first, don't talk to him, instead present the air tank. So Larry is going to have to explain yourself in the next episode of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. And, of course, he's gonna lie. Why wouldn't he? And considering that there's a string of flags around the air tank just like there is around the Samurai Dog's building, stand, basically, that is his, and, there's no way he can deny it. That explains why he was sweating bullets earlier. So on that note, we're going to end it here. And next time, Larry has a good explanation as to why that air tank was in the middle of nowhere near a boat shop in part 28. And also will end up solving the mystery of Gourdy too. See you guys next time.